Good evening, fairies and brothers.
Okay, it's not rolling. We haven't decided to roll yet. Oh, it is rolling. Ho, ho, ho! Finnigan are getting rolled, eh?
Sorry, Dad.
From the BBC in England.
Okay, y'all set? Here we go. Maybe you should put your bra on, Mike. I wouldn't fit you.
Nice color.
Okay, y'all set? Here we go. Ready? Okay, everybody talk. Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, just back from their East Asia and Himalayas tour, we'd like you to give a big round of applause for Finnigan.
Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. I am a weaver, a Carlton weaver. I am a rash and a roving glade. I've got silver in my pouches, and I follow the eastern trade. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. I went down to Dublin, Fenney. Nancy whiskey I chanced to smell. I went in and I sat down beside her. 10 long years I loved her well. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. The more I loved her, the more I kissed her. The more I kissed her, the more she smiles. I forgot my mother's teaching. Nancy whiskey had me beguiled. Here we go. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Come all ye weavers, ye Carlton weavers. Come all ye weavers, where'er ye may be. Beware of whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. She ruined you like she ruined me. What? Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Ah, one more time. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
Woo! Ah, thank you. Ah, thank you. Ah, you love it. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to welcome us all here tonight. We're going to have a party here tonight.
I would reckon.
Pete and I just come back from Newfoundland. We were down in Newfoundland for quite a while there. Anybody else from Newfoundland here tonight?
I was telling Noofies how to stick their feet up instead of their hands.
Well, we had a great time down in Newfoundland. Newfoundlanders are the smartest people in the world.
I don't believe you.
It's true. There was a fella down in Texas. Heard her, well, smart and tough Newfoundlanders were. Strong and, just...
Big muscles, right?
Big muscles, big people. So he got in his big Cadillac last year and he drove all the way from Texas down in Newfoundland to see how tough Newfoundlanders were. So he got just outside Corner Brook. It was the dead of winter, 5 below zero, freezing cold. He looked out on the ice and here's this Newfoundlander out there in his underwear.
Not only tougher, but funny, eh?
With a big saw sawing through the ice. Well, the guy got out of the car and he walked down, tapped Newfoundlander's shoulder. He said, boy, he said, I heard Newfoundlanders are tough, but this is really something. He said, you think I'm tough? He says, my brother's on the other end of the saw. That's true.
They're fine people down there, Newfoundland.
They're
really
fine people.
I wasn't.
Pete and I were walking along the beach, and the seagull flew over and all over my hat.
Mainland seagull, a big.
He was a mainland seagull.
I believe so too.
Peter took off running. I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to get some toilet paper." I said, "Don't be so foolish." I said, "That seagull won't be here when you get back."
Geez, we're wandering out. There's not too many beaches over in Newfoundland. There's a lot of cow pastures over there.
That's right.
We're wandering through this cow pasture, and this great big gust of wind came along, and it blew Jim's hat off. He must have tried on about 9 hats before he found his own. You know that?
How many of you have heard of Joey Smallwood? You heard of Joey Smallwood?
What a character.
Well, Joey Smallwood is testing the sanity of Newfoundlanders.
That's hard to do.
He's trying to get back into politics. We were down in St. John's, and Joey Smallwood was up in, what, 2,000 people?
Oh, at least.
He said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Joey Smallwood," he said. "I'd like to welcome you all here tonight." He says, "I've been the Premier of Newfoundland for nigh on 22 years. He says, "I love Newfoundland. I was born in Newfoundland. I love Newfoundland with a passion."
Tears in the guy's
Oh,
eyes.
the man was broken right up.
Oh, boy.
He said, "If Newfoundland was a woman," he said, "I'd marry her."
That's right.
This little old guy stood up in the back of the hall and he said, "It's only right you should. You've been screwing her for 22 years. True story. We got anybody here from Nova Scotia tonight?
Just 2 or 3, eh?
Anybody here from Cape Breton tonight?
How on earth did you get in?
I had to pay $5, right? Pete and I went up to New Brunswick last week and we were driving up through Nova Scotia. We come up to the New Brunswick border and Peter was drunk in the back of the truck.
Oh, no.
And we were. And we're just crossing the border from Nova Scotia into New Brunswick. I turned around to Pete and said, "Hey, Pete," I said, "guess what?"
Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see mountain roads, let your mountains dark and rear I be. For when I'm far away on the blind ocean toss, will you ever heed a sigh or a wish for me? Oh, the sun was setting in the west, the birds were singing on every tree. All nature seemed inclined for rest, but still there was no rest for me. Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see mountain roads, let your mountains dark and rear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the blind ocean toss, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? Oh, I grieve to leave my native land, I grieve to leave my comrades all, and my parents too I love so well, and that funny bonny lassie that I do adore. Here we go! Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see mountain goes, let your mountains dark and rear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the blind ocean toss, will you ever heed a sigh or a wish for me? All the drums they do beat and the wars alarm, my captain calls, I must obey. So farewell, farewell to Nova Scotia shores. It's July in the morning, I'll be far, far away. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea mountain coast. Let your mountains dark and rear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the blind ocean top, will you ever heed a sigh or a wish for me? I got 3 brave brothers out on that sea. Their arms are folded above their chest. Yes, they're poor simple sailors, just like me, to be tossed and be driven upon the pale blue sea. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea down coast, let your mountains dark and rear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the blind ocean toss, will you ever heed a sigh or a wish for me? Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea bound coast, let your mountains dark and drear I be, drear I be. Oh, when I'm far away on the blind ocean top, will you ever heed a sigh, will you ever heed a sigh, will you ever heed a sigh? Oh!
Ah, thank you, boy. Ah, thank you very much. You're lovely.
Whoa.
By the way, if you got any requests, we're not taking any. No, seriously, if you got anything special you want to hear, just whisper it to somebody and we'll try to figure it out for you.
Right in the back of a beer bottle or something they got
You
there.
feel like doing some bluegrass music?
Bluegrass music.
Huh? Ah, proper name. Now, for those of you who don't know about bluegrass music, bluegrass is a little different than green grass. Doesn't burn as quick, takes them longer to stomp out, and you can't smoke it, believe it or not.
You people tried tonight, Robertson.
But Peter here's one of the finest bluegrass banjo players I met this week.
Wait a minute, it's only Monday.
That's right. And if you keep... That's an Irishman for you, doesn't even know where he's at. Well, if you keep very close watching Peter's left hand, you notice his fingers never leave his hand any time. What are you going to do for us, Snoot?
Oh, how about something like Foggy Mountain Breakdown?
Oh, boy, that's great stuff. Wait till I get my hat.
We'd like to involve a little in this. Now, any time during this song you feel like going, yeah, by all means go. We'd like to try it with you, okay? with a few people here last night going, yee-hey. Don't want none of that stuff in here tonight. Let's just try it. A big yee-hi, okay?
Oh, good. That's great. That's great.
Jeez, we put you guys in record, you know that? There we go.
Time to say goodbye to Tidnall's King. They would like to thank you folks that kind of rubbed it in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heap and helping over hospitality.
Hillbillies,
Bluegrass,
free beer.
lots of women.
You all come back now, you hear?
Yeah. Partners, here we go. Hit it, Pete, and the old Banjo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. For those of you that don't know us, Peter was born in Ireland, and I was born in Newfoundland. Is there any other Irish people here? Did you hear the joke with the smart Irishman? No. There isn't any.
Hey.
I got a story for you.
Get him, Paddy.
Peter thought I was making fun of me because I'm Newfoundland. Newfoundlanders are slow. There was an Irishman and Newfoundlander fixing the roof of this house. They put the ladder up against the side of the house. Up goes the Irishman, up goes the Newfoundlander. They get up on top of the roof. Newfoundlander turned around and kicked the ladder away.
Typical.
The Irishman said, "You crazy?" He said, "How have we been down at this roof?" Newfoundlander said, "Don't worry, boys. We'll get down." So they're up there all day. 4 o'clock came. The Irishman looked around for Newfoundlander. Couldn't see him anywhere. So he walked around the front of the house, looked down the sidewalk, and there's Newfoundlander and waving to him. He said, "How'd you get down there?" Newfoundlander said, "A big pile of horse manure around the back of the house." He said, "I jumped in that." He said, "You hurt yourself?" He said, "No." He said, "How deep was it?" He said, "Only up to my ankles." So off goes the Irishman around the back of the house, looks down, big pile of horse manure, jumped, right up to his neck and horse manure. He looks over to Newfoundlander and said, "You lying devil." He says, "You told me you only went up to your ankles." Newfoundlander said, "Yes, but I dove."
Oh, those Newfies will do it to you every time.
That's right. I'd like to introduce you to my partner here before we get too carried away.
Thank you, Jim.
Peter was born in Ireland, half brought up there.
Well, hey.
He was so ugly as a kid, he had tight pork chops around his neck to get the dogs to play with him. That's true. His mother used to take him down to the laundromat on Saturday afternoon and let him ride in the dryer.
Didn't bother me a bit.
Used to let him mix master and she wouldn't turn it off. That's true. His mother, the only time Peter felt at home was on Halloween.
I used to look like all the other kids when they were dressed up, right?
When Peter was being baptized, the godparents carried Peter out and passed him over to the priest, and the priest took one look at Peter and said, "This is no time for joking. Where's the baby?" It's true. When Peter was 18, he was walking on the streets of Belfast. A beautiful young girl came running out of one of the buildings with just a negligee on. She said, "Would you like to come with me?" Peter said, "Oh, gosh, I'd love to go with you." So he followed her up into the house. He said, "Would you like to come up to my bedroom?" Peter said, "Oh, I'd love to go up to your bedroom." Oh, Peter figured he had it made, eh? Up the stairs he goes. She goes in the room, shuts the door behind him. Peter turns around, here's a 5-year-old boy laying in the bed with the blankets pulled up to his nose. Woman turned around and said to the young boy, said, see, I told you if your dad was going to bring the boogeyman home. But he's a master of many instruments. He plays 5-string banjo, 4-string banjo, mandolin, tin whistle, guitar, piano, record player, radio. Used to play with my sister, but I caught him.
She's well-tuned.
Oh, yes. He used to play the organ on the streets of San Francisco. Somebody stole his monkey, believe it or not. But he's one of the finest musicians I met in my lifetime. You'll see as the night goes on. Would you like to welcome my partner, Mr. Peter Stoney from Belfast, Ireland?
You think I had it tough when I was a kid? Jim was breastfed by his father. He goes to a place away on the west coast of Ireland. You might have heard of it. It's called Newfoundland. It's a nice place to come from. A place called Marystown. Anyone ever heard of Marystown, Newfoundland? No. You have heard of it? Yeah. Not much happening in Marystown nowadays. There's never been much happening in Marystown. During 1945, they dropped an atomic bomb there and did $15 worth of damage. We just come over here. I'm up in New Brunswick. I'm living up in New Brunswick at the moment. Jim's been living over in Newfoundland lately. He had to come over here especially to do this little deal here tonight. Flew over by Newfoundland bus. But really, he's really a good fella. Before we go any further, I'd like to say, like, a lot of people have been saying, are we brothers? You know, because we've got the beards and we're dressed alike. We're not brothers. My brother's still alive. I'd like to say another thing, too. Over in Ireland, we got all sorts of little people. I'm sure you've heard of the little people and the leprechauns. Over in Newfoundland, we just got fairies. And that's one of them.
Cheap shot, kid, cheap shot.
Talk about the technology over in Newfoundland. They just brought a new thing in called coloured radio. But really, he was very, very poor when he was a kid. He was very, very poor indeed. In fact, he was so poor his mum and dad couldn't afford Johnson's baby powder to sprinkle on his little bottom. All they could afford was Pillsbury self-raising flour. They used to sprinkle that in his little bottom, and he used to go out and sit in the sunshine, break out in little cookies. And then he used to butter them and eat them for his lunch.
They weren't so bad, we called them brownies.
Oh, yeah?
I come from a big family with 22 kids in my family.
22 kids.
17 boys and 2 girls.
Is that right?
3 dogs, 2 cats, and a chicken. Daddy used to be afraid to come home and say, what's new?
Oh, I can imagine.
It's true. Daddy used to come up with a big Thanksgiving turkey, and all the kids be hollering, Daddy, Daddy, can I have a leg? Daddy would say, what do you think I got here, spider? They roll the potatoes on the table. If you got one, you got one. If you didn't, you went hungry.
Hard times there.
They feed us with a slingshot. Boom! I think children today are spoiled. They never had no flushabuys or Pampers when I was a baby.
No flushabuys.
Used to wrap my backside up in tar paper. You talk about your ring around the collar.
Your father was telling me you were so poor he couldn't even afford to buy you shoes. He used to paint his feet black and lace up his toes. But really, he's a master musician. He plays all sorts of instruments. The 6-string guitar, the 5-string guitar, the 4-string guitar, depending on how many strings he breaks during the evening. Comes from Newfoundland. As you know, all Newfoundlanders can play the fish, except for Jim. He found out at 8 years of age he couldn't tune a fish. But anyhow, would you like to give a nice big warm welcome, Mr. Jim Flynn from Newfoundland.
Thank you very much. Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. And what we usually do about this time of night, we try to, get a party going as quick as possible. Well, I should tell them about Santa Claus. We met Santa Claus when we were down in Newfoundland. Santa Claus in the hospital now. Threw the wrong bag over his shoulder. With a bag of trains, and he lifted it up and set the distance back. Yeah. People got different minds going on.
Kip Ritner's by the looks of it.
We were up in Labrador just before Christmas. It gets powerful cold up in Labrador. We're down to 105 below zero.
That's cold.
That's some cold.
It's the only place I saw brass monkeys.
This fella had a big dog. The dog got out of the house and ran over the fire hydrant. You know what dogs do to fire hydrants? The dog was there till next spring. The moral of the whole story is you don't let it all hang out up in Labrador. But they got a great custom down in Newfoundland, and what everybody does down there, they all got their hands clapping. They got a great name for it. They call it Newfoundland air conditioning. Works great. Also good for killing flies.
Newfoundland national bird.
Let's see if we get some air conditioning, get this place going into a party tonight.
For sure.
Oh, well, there was a while colonial boy. It was his dream. He was born and raised in Ireland in a place called Castlemaine. He was his father's only son, his mother's pride and joy. Well and dearly did his parents love the white colonial boy. At the early age of 16 years, he left roam. And to Australia's sunny shores he was inclined to roam. He robbed the rich, he helped the poor, he shot Jacob McAvoy. Well, I tell it to Australia was the wild colonial boy. Well, one morn upon the prairie as Jackie rode along, well, listen to the mockingbird singing a cheerful song. Oh, jump upon the troopers, Kelly Davis and Fitzroy. Well, they all set out to capture the wild colonial boy. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Surrender now, Jack Dugan, for you see with great a one. Surrender in the Queen's high night, for you're a plundering son. Jack drew two pistols from his belt and proudly waved them high. Well, fight, but not surrender, cried the wild colonial boy. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Well, he fired a shot at Kelly and brought him to the ground. And turning round to Davis, he received a fatal wound. A bullet pierced his proud young heart on the pistol of Fitzroy. Yes, and that was how they captured him, the wild colonial boy. Yes, and that was how they captured him, the wild colonial boy. Woo!
Thank you very much indeed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn your record over.
Lovely. Thank you. Coming to home. Thank you very much. You guys hear about the milkman who wore high heels?
The milkman wore high heels.
They call him a Dairy Queen. Little old lady walking to a police station, all the clothes torn off her back, bleeding all over. Says to the police officer, "I've been raped!" Officer's graped. He said, "You mean rape, lady?" She said, "No, there was a whole bunch of them." Another little old lady's driving down the street, and when she's driving, she's knitting.
Knitting.
She goes through the stop sign, the police come racing after her and get up beside her and said, "Pull over." She said, "No, it's a sweater." Who writes this stuff? I don't know.
I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to do a song called Seven Old Ladies That Got Locked in a Lavatory for a Week.
Ah, boy.
Very stinky situation altogether. Now, there's rules and regulations to this song.
The chorus goes, "Oh dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked where?" And you go, "In the lavatory," at the top of your gullets. And then wiggle a lot, and jiggle a lot, and wiggle a lot, and jiggle a lot, and wiggle a lot, and jiggle a lot, and I'll go la 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 together.
Ooh la la.
Oh, boy. Let's try it a few times. You can warm it up in here.
And it's so dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked where? They were there from Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la.
La la la. Oh, lovely.
Very important to get them la la la's in there. Well, the first old lady was old Mrs. Humphrey. She only went in to make herself comfy. But when she went to leave, she couldn't get her bum free, 'cause nobody knew she was there. And it's so dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la. Well, the next one in was old Mrs. Draper. She went in, but she couldn't find the paper, so she used a bricklayer's scraper, and nobody knew she was there. And it's so dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la. Well, the next old lady was old Mrs. Flynn. She only went in on a personal whim. Somehow she got stuck between the bowl and the rim. Nobody knew she was there. And they saw, dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked. Where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la. Well, the next one in was Mrs. MacArthur. She needed to go to the washroom. She darted. She paid a nickel, but she only. Nobody knew she was there. And they saw, dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked. Where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la. How many people we got from Nova Scotia here tonight? Well, it's been near 12 months since we've been down here. We did the song first we dedicate to all you guys. Well, the next old lady was old Mrs. Schuster. She sat on the handle. She thought someone goosed her. Said, oh, my dear, it don't feel like it used to. Nobody knew she was there. And they saw, dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked. Where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. La la la, la la la, la la la. Well, the last old lady was old Mrs. Mason. Well, she had to go, so she used the basin. That was the water that he washed his face in. Nobody knew she was there. And they saw, dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked. Where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody One knew more time. And they saw, dear, what can the matter be? 7 old ladies got locked. Where? They were there from a Sunday to Saturday. Nobody knew they were there. Woo! Ah, thank you. Oh, hey, thank you. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I've never had so much fun since the pigs ate my brother.
That was fun. we met a fellow when we were down in Cape Breton there, a fellow by the name of Beethoven. You heard of Beethoven? Musical character?
Little drunk fella? Bald head?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, hi.
He's here again tonight, look.
That's a fella sees pink elephants.
Carries a piano on his back.
Quite a character, really is. Right. Good fellow altogether. He taught us how to end a song a little bit differently than the usual way of ending songs. We'd like to do our version of a song called Whiskey in the Jar, and we call it Whiskey in Beethoven's Jar. Oh. I'd like to dedicate to all the Coca-Cola drinkers here tonight. How many Coca-Cola drinkers do we have here tonight?
How many liars we got here tonight?
As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell. Hello, Captain Farrell.
How are you, boy?
Gotta feel, boy. And his money he was counting.
1, 2, 3, and another, and another, and another, and another.
Well, I first produced my pistol, and I then produced my rapier.
You produced your what?
My rapier.
It's a dirty song?
No, it's a weapon. It's a big, long sword thing.
Oh, yeah.
Defend yourself with.
Saying, stand and deliver the fire, I am the boldest seabird, mustering, never Rack fall the daddy-o, little whiskey in the jar. Well, he counted out his money and it made a pretty penny. I put it in my pocket and I took it home to Jenny. She sighed and she swore she never would deceive me. But the devil take the woman whore, they never can be easy. Mushering, da-ba-da-da-ba-da. Rack fall the daddy-o, little whiskey in the jar. If anyone can aid me is my brother in the army. If I could find a station in Cork or in Killarney, I'm sure that he'd aid me. We go roving in Kilkenny, and I'm sure it'd treat me better than mid-Ireland sporting Jenny. Mushering, da-ba-da-da-ba-da. Rack fall the daddy-o, little whiskey in the jar. Well, I went unto my chamber for to take a little slumber. I dreamt of gold and jewels, and for sure it was no wonder. Jenny drew my charges and filled them up with water. Sent for Captain Farrell to be ready for the slaughter. Mushering, da-ba-da-da-ba-da. Rack fall the daddy-o, little whiskey in the jar.
As I was going over the Farrington mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol and then produced my rapier, saying stand and deliver, or I am the boldest seaver, Mr. Ring-a-ba-dur-a-ba-da. Rack fall daddy-o, rack fall daddy-o, little whiskey, here we go, Mr. Ring-a-ba-dur-a-ba-da. Hey, rack fall daddy-o, rack fall daddy-o, little whiskey in the jar. Whiskey, 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 whiskey in the jar. Oh yeah!
That's your job, the Irish singers there. Did a great job. Ah, thank you, thank you. I can tell you all a little story, if I get your attention for one second. There was a fellow living all by himself. He was awful lonely. So what he thought he'd do, he'd get out and buy himself a parrot. Does everybody know what a parrot is?
Are you, Swabsy?
That's a pirate.
Oh, pirate.
So he goes down to the store and he says to the pet shop owner, do you have any parrots? Fella says, no, I don't have any parrots, but I got a budgie bird.
Budgie bird.
So he takes him down to the back of the store and here stands a 3.5-foot tall budgie bird. All the colors are rainbow and a big beak on it like this fella.
Hey, wait a minute.
Well, he said, I'm looking for a talking bird. He says, can this bird talk? And the fella said, yes, but I can only say 3 things. The fella says, what's that? He said, he can say, who is it? He said, it's all he can say is, who is it? He said, yeah. So the guy buys the bird and all the way home he's saying, say something, Budgie. Budgie says, who is it? He says, what's your name, Budgie? Budgie says, who is it? He says, say something else, Budgie. Budgie says, who is it? But he takes this big bird home and he puts it in the cage in his house. Next morning he gets up and he goes to work and leaves the bird in the house by itself. Now, it so happened the day before, he had called a plumber to come down to fix the plumbing in the house. So 7 o'clock in the morning, up comes this little Irish plumber to the door. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Well, he tries to look through the drapes, but they've been drawed. So he gets down on one knee and tries to look through the keyhole. Can't see nothing, so he tried the other eye. Knocks again. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Budgie says, who is it? He says, the plumber from the county council. I come to fix your pipes. Well, this goes on for 7.5 hours.
Oh, no.
Who is it, the plumber? Who is it, the plumber? Who is it, the plumber? Finally, the little old man gets so mad he smashes down the door with his shoulder. When he does, he takes a heart attack and he drops dead.
Oh, no.
Now, 2 hours go by and the fellow owned the budgie came home to the tavern with a friend of his. He walked up the stairs and seen the door smashed in and the little old man lying there dead. That was Budgie. He said, who was it? He says, the plumber from the county council. Come to fix your pipe. Great job. Ah, thank you, thank you. We were down at Cape Breton and I showed Peter where I brought up in Sydney, and I took him up behind Simpson's barn. We used to play around there as kids, and I showed him the first place I ever made love. And I'll never forget it as long as I live because her mother came down and caught us.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I never knew she come down and caught you. What'd she say to you?
Bleh. Oh.
Really pulled the wool over your eyes, eh? We're gonna wee jig here in a mandolin. What we're gonna call this, meet me behind the rock crusher, baby. I'm a little boulder there.
Come on, let me have it.
Thank you very much indeed. That's great. If you feel like dancing there and going running around the place, by all means, go ahead.
Oh, yes, that's great fun.
As long as you don't trample on any Cape Bretoners. They're lying on the floor.
It's funny, you know, I was raised in Cape Breton, and I was brought up in the Catholic Church. I'll never forget the first time a new priest came to our church, and his job was to go around door to door and try to get people to come back to church, but he had an awful problem. I'm going to tell you all about it. He was walking down the street, and he went up and he knocked on the first door he come to. Door opened, there's a woman standing there, she screams, "D. Martin!" and passes out on the floor. Well, the priest goes and gets some water, comes back and puts it on her face, and he wakes her up and says, "Listen, lady, I'm not D. Martin. I just look like D. Martin. I'm a new parish priest, and I'd like to know if you come to church on Sunday." "Oh, Father," she says, "I'll be there." So he goes down the road next door, knocks on the door. Door opens, woman standing there. "D. Martin!" Passes out on the floor. Priest goes and gets some water, puts it on her face, wakes her up and says, "Listen, lady," he says, "I'm not D. Martin. I just look like D. Martin. I'm a new parish priest, and I'd like to know if you come to church on Sunday." "Oh, Father," she says, "I'll be there." Goes down next door, knocks the door. Door opens. "D. Martin!" Passes out on the floor. He wakes her up and says, "Listen, lady," he says, "I'm getting tired of this." He says, "I'm not D. Martin." He says, "I just look like D. Martin. I'm a new parish priest, and I'd like to know if you come to church on Sunday." "Oh, Father, I'll be there." Goes down next door. Budgie says, "Who is it?" Door opens. "D. Martin!" Passes out on the floor. Priest goes, gets the water, puts it on her face, wakes her up. He says, "Listen, lady, I'm not D. Martin. I'm a new parish priest, and I just look like D. Martin. I'd like to know if you come to church on Sunday." "Oh, Father," she says, "I'll be there." She says, "Father," she said, "before you go, I wonder if you go upstairs and talk to my 18-year-old daughter. She's a real devil. I can't do nothing but she's out running around and everything." Priest says, "No trouble." He says, "I'll go and have a talk with her." Goes up and knocks on the door. Door opens. There's this beautiful young 18-year-old girl standing there, stark naked. 13, 24, 36. Woo! She screams, "D. Martin!" Passes out on the floor, and the priest says, "Everybody loves somebody sometime." For those of you who go see the Red Horse, we did a lot of research into this, and for those of you who are interested, Stu Ball was one of the only horses in history that started from the starting gate from a kneeling position, because he couldn't stand up. He was drunk all the time. Like my partner. Shadow Gate, that's what he drank, all right.
Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, he always drank wine. His bridle was silver, his mane it was gold, and the birth of his saddle has never been told. Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, he always drank wine. Now the fairgrounds was crowded, oh, Stu Ball was there, but the betting was heavy on the bay and the bear. But away out yonder, way ahead of them all, came a dancing and prancing, my old friend Stu Ball. Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, he always drank wine. I bet on the black horse, and I bet on the bay. If I'd bet on old Stu Ball, be a rich man today. Now the hoot owls holler, and the turtle doves moan. I'm a poor boy in trouble, I'm a long way from home. Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, he always drank wine. Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, he always drank wine.
Ah, thank you very much, thank you. It's getting pretty near time for us to be saying goodnight to you. On behalf of Peter, Stoney, and myself, Jim Flynn, other known as Finnigan, we'd like to thank you all from the bottom of our heart for coming down and supporting us. You've been just lovely. We usually finish off our show with a couple of stompers, and it's one, well, in particular we do.
Oh, it's our
this
favorite
great country of ours called Canada.
yeah.
Song called Something to Sing About. Want to hear everybody singing, everybody clapping, everybody go home with a sore throat. God bless us all.
I have walked on the sands of
The grand banks of Newfoundland, laced on the rage of the mud and the sea. Seen the waves tear and roar on the stone coast of Labrador. Watched them roll back to the great northern shore.
Everybody!
From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highland, across the prairies and lakes to Ontario's south, the sound of Mount Royal chimes, up to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours. I have wandered me way by the wild woods of Hudson Bay, treated me toes to Quebec's morning soul. Wandered out eastern ways, wandered out western ways, traveled this country from top on to toe. From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highland, across the prairies and lakes to Ontario's towers, to the sound of Mount Royal chimes, up to the Maritimes, something to sing about this style of ours. Oh, I love to go a-wandering along the mountain track. And as I go, I love to sing my knapsack on my back. Everybody! Wadri, wadra, wadri, wadra, hey, hey, oh, oh, wadri, wadra, my knapsack on my back. I wave my hand to all like me, and they wave back to me. We'll walk along and we'll sing our song in laughter and in glee. Wadri, wadri, wadra, wadra, wadri, wadra, hey, hey, ho, ho, wadri, wadra, my knapsack on my back. Yes, there's something to sing about, tune up and string about, all out in chorus or quietly hum. All the land that is still where the chorus sets the song, telling the tale of the great things to come. Here we go! From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highland, across the prairies and lakes to Ontario's towers, to the sound of Mount Royal chimes, up to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours. Yes, it's something to sing about this land of ours. Good night, everybody. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.